For those of you who are listening along, we're recording this on Tuesday, November 17th. Thank you for those of you who are here live. I will share my screen. Holly will be the first to tell you that sometimes when I share my screen, things drop out. So if they do, just the way it's going to go. But I've got some talking points to share, and then also I got a little heads up on an equity survey that's going to come out for families. We're sending it out tomorrow, and then we're using that. It's part of the long-term plan. It's been part of a plan for over a year now to survey students, families, and staff this year, and then use that data and work with a really trusted partner, both at the winter-spring section of this year to process that data in listening sessions, but also inform how the school moves forward into future years and improving the experiences of staff and students at school. In any case, let's begin with the weekling talking points. And Holly, I feel like we need theme music maybe for this, and maybe like a little logo to like flash across the screen.
Whoa.
I know. We'll look into that for the 2021 year.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe we'll work on some audio visual.
Yeah.
But our weekly feature of talking points, reminder to everyone that we have how many cases per 10,000 on a rolling 2-week average that informs our decisions. And then we also just internally keep a track on the daily case counts and averages so that we know in which direction trends are going. As you've probably heard much on the news, Minnesota is in the top, I believe, 8 states in terms of total cases per day this past week. And we are also up there in the terms of top states in terms of case growth of the virus. And so just as a reminder, I'll zoom in a bit here. Just as a reminder, increasing viral activity makes it much harder to have in-person learning. So we are at this point in our most restrictive model. So then again, here are 7 metro counties where we look most often at data to inform us, because we have students coming from all these counties plus a couple others. And we like to see these percentages below 5%. We definitely don't want to see them climbing. We don't want to see them in double digits. This is a week. You can't see my screen?
Your counties.
Oh, you can't see the county?
No, it's
I'll just
learning model parameters.
Okay, we'll just hopefully we'll catch up.
Okay.
Are we caught up yet?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. I'm glad you are, Holly.
I'm glad
because I want to show the county. Can you see them yet? Can you see them, Holly? Can you see them?
No.
Oh, well, folks who are listening along in the podcast, I'll just read it along to you, and folks who are watching, I'll try to share that screen again. And so we want to see these tests. There we go. I'll try again. We want to see these percent of tests positive by county to be 5% or lower. And we don't want to see them above. And as my screen comes up for those of you watching, it will correct in a moment. But we have Anoka at the highest here back on November 12th at 8.1%. But even Hennepin and Ramsey, who are our most populous counties, are at or above 7% in terms of that's the number of tests on an average daily basis that come back positive for COVID. Anything above 5% indicates what epidemiologists call community spread. And so we want to see a much lower case test positivity rate. Specifically, I know you all lost my screen, but it's going to come back, Holly. And in fact, Holly, if you are interested, I'm going to make it so that all panelists can share their screen.
Okay.
Oh, you're the host, Holly. You're the host. You'll have to make me host again, and then I can do it up. And then for those of you who are following along at home, the case rate per 10,000 people. Again, we want to see this well below 50. Back in August, we had numbers that were in the low teens in terms of positive cases per 10,000 people. This is 2 weeks old, and I know that we're in a state in the nation of the United States right now that is having quite a challenge controlling case rates. But even on a 2-week delay, Anoka and Scott and Washington counties are well above 50, cases of 75, 60, and 86 per 10,000 people. And then even Hennepin and Ramsey County are most populous counties. Hennepin at 51 cases per 10,000, Ramsey at 49.9 cases per 10,000. So as is the case at many schools in the metro area that even were hybrid or in person, almost all schools right now are working with the Department of Education to adjust their learning model and to try to slow the spread again of this virus that is spreading so quickly. And again, the danger for society here is not individual interest, but that as a society we have to work together in order to slow the spread of this virus, because there are vulnerable folks among us in our society for whom an unnecessary illness like this can be a threat, a mortal threat to them. And so just as a reminder that this is a deep inconvenience, and we as a society still are operating under a value of take care of all of us. And so, Holly, can you see the case numbers now?
Yes, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, good, good, good. And what I'm going to do too, Holly, is I'm going to chat to you and everybody the document that I'm on, so that if people want to follow along at home, they can, all panelists and attendees. So there's the document we're looking at. This is linked on our public website, as always. And then, Holly, if I scroll down to the graph here, can you see the graph?
Oh, no, just a minute. I jumped ahead.
No worries, no worries. So for those of you who are looking along at the graph, yeah, we have a beautiful graph here that is actually demonstrating the parabolic curve straight up for the case rates over these past 3 weeks. They have been increasing exponentially, and that is not what we want to see. We need to see them flattening and going down. So I believe we will see that when folks get a handle on how to stop spreading this. And again, rapid available testing will help us know who can come to school and when. Also then working together to make sure that really people are taking precautions. I know you lost my screen again, but I'm just going to keep talking through this. Holly, I'm going to chat to you the return website. And if you could share your screen, that would be wonderful. Do you know how to do that, Holly?
I don't know if I gave you all of the hosting ability or if.
Oh, okay, not yet. You can actually just click share screen and go to that greatriverschool.org/return website. And I've put it in the chat for everyone who's attending. For those of you who are podcasting, we have revamped the website. And specifically, oh yeah, I see, Holly. Everybody, I can share my screen again. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that you can share your screen, Holly.
Okay.
Here we go. Thanks everyone for your patience. So we've revamped oh, there we go, good. We've revamped the website and reordered it so that the things that are the most relevant are at the top. And also, we've put the newest graphics and newest infographics about what we do when there's a positive case, and everything else. We've allowed that to be at the top. And so old information about what we do with distance learning, what our hybrid plan is, what the plans for all the school models are, those are down at the bottom. You can scroll all the way down. And so I have, thank you, Dave Miko. One of our attendees is being encouraging, and being encouraging is an important aspect of support. We wouldn't want to lose our courage while doing this thing. So any encouragement you can send our way, thank you. Anyone who is feeling discouraging, please, that's okay to share too, but please wait until 7 p.m. to share that with Holly and I. We need all the courage we can muster right now for the data issue. Those of you who are at home, you can just look at the greatriverschool.org/return site. And so I'll again put that in the chat to all attendees and panelists.
I'm sorry, Sam.
Okay.
Because the host disabled the participant screen sharing.
No worries, Holly. I'm gonna fix that.
Okay.
Anyone who is attending who has a question they'd like answered, please put that in the chat. And just one moment. Oh, good. Okay. Okay. So I'm also just following along and noting that for those of you who are curious, I'm just going to make sure we share the correct item. Oh yeah, good. There we go. Great. So I'm going to share my screen now. Holly, can you see the chart and then the details below?
The speedometer and the details
Yep.
below
Yep.
in the chart.
Yep.
Yes. I can't see anything
Yeah.
below the chart. Half the chart
Beautiful.
cut off. But yeah, there's the
And I'm going to, beautiful, beautiful. And so as I share this speedometer, I just want to note that this is on our website and folks can see that in the upper right-hand corner. We even have a guidance for what extracurriculars will and won't happen at certain case numbers. So we are above 50 cases per 10,000. We have had a meeting of our advisory group that includes volunteer families, volunteer students, volunteer staff people to advise and give feedback from their perspective. We also are still taking, remember, weekly surveys from you all families. And at this point, it would be miraculous if in 4 to 6 weeks, our case counts drop dramatically, meaning I don't expect them to. However, if and when they do, this chart will change. And then Holly, as I scroll, can you see my scroll?
You're not scrolling yet, but we'll catch up with you.
Okay, so those of you who are looking at the website, again, you can scroll down to the speedometer with the detailed chart, and you can see some ideas of what will happen if and when those case rates drop. And the available and predictable COVID testing column in that chart describes the ability to get regular tests with a very predictable return time. And I know the state of Minnesota is, I think, working exceptionally hard, especially compared to other states, at making free testing available to as many people who want testing. And so I know many of those sites have been open for the last few weeks. And I also know that we're getting some information from the Department of Health right now that the ability to request a test that comes to you by mail, that you mail back and you get the results rather quickly. I think that program is just being launched widely in the state right now. So if and when we get that information, we'll pass that along. But specifically, what we are looking at is, being in this most restrictive model and continuing in it because of those high case numbers. On site, we are working with the children of any critical workers who need to be outside of the home doing their work. Those students are welcome at school. And then there are ways in which we are also planning restricted minutes and other minutes to serve students who have specific learning plans. And we have some exceptions to that case. So in any case, also then on our revamped website, and I will stop my share at the moment. I will turn my video back on. Also on that website down below is some information both about what options are still available to you as a family. And then there's one last graphic I want to point out in regards to the COVID process and flow of information that if you haven't seen it, may be helpful for you as a family to understand what we do here at school. And so again, I will share my screen. I will pause my own video. Holly, can you see the chart that says what happens when a positive COVID case is reported?
Not yet.
Okay. What do you see, Holly? Rainbows, puppies,
Sam
unicorns?
O'Brien has started screen sharing.
Okay, well, it's going to be just full of suspense.
Do you want to answer a question in the Q&A while we wait?
I will answer a question in the Q&A while we wait. Here we go. We have is there a survey available for parents to complete regarding head of school search plans? Yes, there is, and we can definitely answer questions about that. The link in the survey from the last conference call for UA families. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, absolutely. I can share that link. And then we will also, in an email direct to families tomorrow and a reminder on Thursday, be sending that, that link directly. Holly, can you see the chart yet?
Not yet. I'm sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this is just a bit of a travesty.
Uh-oh.
Let's try it one more time. Tell me if it shows up, Holly. And so totally appropriate question from someone attending, looking for the survey about the head of school search plans. And just as a reminder, last week, our board chair, Jenny Williams, came and explained the process and goals for the head of school search. This coming a week from today, this next Tuesday, the 24th, will be a board meeting where the board will have reviewed and will be making a decision on the recommendation that the school engage in an immediate hiring process for an interim school leader next year, and then beginning a 12-month permanent and nationwide bigger search that starts in January of 2021. So what you would see as a community is a posting for an interim head of school job. It goes up, likely before December 1st if the recommendation is approved by the board. And then you would then anticipate seeing likely a permanent posting going up sometime later this year, say March or April. And that would be for a fall 2022 start. And so it would be a longer window of search and a more inclusive parameter for people who want to be involved. If you, though, as a community member, want to be involved, either because you have a passionate experience and you think our school would improve if we can learn from your experience, or perhaps you have experience or expertise in hiring or in school leadership or seeing that work or not work well, please get involved. You can email executive@greatriverschool.org to reach our executive committee. And you'll see, again, that survey directly shared with families again tomorrow for all families to give feedback on that. And then for those of you who are live today, if you just give me a moment, I will, in fact, share. So, Holly, you're still not seeing the screen share. It's still dark, huh?
Correct. It's not.
Okay, well, then, folks, sometimes you plan ahead, and then you just got to deal with what's there. And so here, it's my face and Holly's face. We can tell you about it. The graphic that I want you to pay attention to, though, on the website includes what happens when a positive case is reported. And there's something I want to say just to close the first 20 minutes here about the COVID and the planning around it, is that specifically on-site at school, I think we have been exceptionally effective at implementing how to be safe around each other. And living during an unmitigated pandemic such as we are, it does not mean that you are a bad person or an irresponsible person if you contract this virus. There are more, say, conservative or responsible things to do, but we live at a fraught time when it's, I think, easy to be polarized. It is true that each family that has either reported that they have contracted COVID, or for the 2 cases that we had positive on site so far this year, those people felt very individually burdened by the idea that they were infected and could have possibly affected and spread to other people. And so I just want to say that we expect, all likelihood points to the fact that people even behaving responsibly may and probably will contract this virus in our community. And so we are prepared. I just want to communicate this to both families and employees who might be listening to or watching this later too. We are prepared for the worst possible scenarios and working toward and hoping for the best possible scenarios. And so that includes, we are still supporting students on campus. We are still engaging in that work. And also, as I rejoin this meeting in just a moment, Holly, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yes.
Oh, good. The Zoom is coming back. As we prepare to go through the rest of this year, I would expect that we will have more positive cases. However, what we really want to stop is any widespread outbreak or widespread contagion on site. And so we are effectively implementing distance between people in most cases. And then we're also hearing, I think, some good feedback where we could be doing better from people on site. And so as we do that, I just want folks to know it's go through the year here. We are going to be working to do more outdoor events over the winter, where we keep social distance and we have masks and scarves over our face outdoors. It really is a way to raise our spirits, because what we've heard is that when we are gathering outdoors, it's really helping folks. However, when cases are this high, we are not going to be planning outdoor events as a school. And if you plan them as a family, I just really want to encourage everyone to follow the guidelines given by the Department of Health and announced by the governor last week about group size and about really not having folks who aren't from your family inside your home in order to do the best we can to wear masks, to avoid being indoors with people who are not in our household. And even if we do gather to raise our spirits, to be conservative about how we gather so that we can go back to school in person just as soon as possible. My intuition and informed speculation about this event is that when a vaccine is available, that will not guarantee safety for everyone at our school, and we'll still be operating school where some people are on site and some people need distance learning. And that even if and when a vaccine is available and or more testing is available, we will get into a routine as a school community when those two technologies become available more widespread, where it will be common to be at school with masks on and social distance at school. And I'm fortified by the witnessing the success already on campus of doing that. And then also, I just want to brace all the adults who are listening, and for the students who are listening too, that when we do go back to school, we are ready to go back safely. And I would expect that we'll go back with masks on, whether that be this spring or next fall, and still with distance in mind, because it's going to take time for any treatment and or for the effective testing to really get a handle on the spread of this virus. And so in any case, that's enough about the virus, I believe, for tonight. If you've got questions about it or about how we're planning or what we're doing, please let us know. And so I think my audio is now joined to my face, but I can't really tell. But I will now move on. Holly, I believe you're the host.
Oh, dear.
Now, yes, and that's okay, Holly, that's okay. What I am going to do actually is, Holly, I'm going to put a link that I would like you, if you can, to share on your screen. And the link is a survey.
Okay.
Here we go. Good. The survey will be sent directly to families next week. And then I'll also put the head of school survey link into the chat for all the families who are here watching tonight. And that will be just momentarily. One moment, everyone. All right. So Holly, if you can project that link I just sent you. It's a SurveyMonkey survey for Great River School parents and community. And what I'm shifting to now, just for the next few minutes, is an introduction by voice here of Equity Alliance Minnesota. Equity Alliance Minnesota, their logo is up there in the upper left-hand corner where you can see on Holly's screen. They are a community partner. Specifically, they're an organization that works with many school districts in the east of the metro area, and also many school districts regionally and statewide, focusing on how to implement effective, equitable educational practices to eliminate any differences in educational outcomes that have to do with particularly race, and also any differences that have to do with class or gender. Specifically, Equity Alliance Minnesota has focused on race, as the state of Minnesota and the school districts within the state demonstrate the largest gap in educational outcomes, the largest difference between students based on their race. Meaning, if you know a student's race or ethnicity, you can, with a high degree of likelihood, make reliable predictions about their educational outcomes. And that's not how it should be. Specifically, we want students to succeed, and we don't want that success to be correlated with their race. In another way, saying generally, white students tend to, on average, get more out of their educational time spent in school in the state of Minnesota than students who are Black or students who are Latino. And specifically also than Asian students who are English language learners. Those three groups in the state of Minnesota in particular statistically show a difference in educational outcomes. So that though isn't news to you if you've been reading the news or attending to what happened. At Great River School, those differences in educational outcomes are much smaller when compared to, say, the St. Paul Public School, Minneapolis Public School District. And I just want to identify also, that's not to say Minneapolis or St. Paul Public Schools are doing poorly. I think there's many factors to be taken into consideration. Our gaps at Great River School in terms of outcomes, and sometimes that term gap is also referred to as education debt, that the educational system, in fact, has a debt to students who are not getting as much out of their time spent as other students. So a debt to Black and Latino and English language learning students is three separate groups. That educational debt or that opportunity gap or that educational outcome difference, whatever language you want to use or feel aligned with as a person, specifically at Great River School, we witnessed that our educational model results in actually a smaller difference in outcomes than the state on the whole. And so I do think that the hands-on learning, the relationships that we build, the foundations of our academic success being rooted in the social and emotional, both wellness and investment of our students, I think that those all contribute to those differences being smaller at our school because of our educational model. It is not correlated over our 15-year history. The differences being smaller at our school are not correlated with specific populations or income. They are applicable over the statistical groups. And so what that means to me is we have a good school model. However, we also know, like almost every other charter school and public school in the Twin Cities metro area, that our school population, we have even a slide on our website that speaks to this, is 71% white identifying, in terms of 71% of our students at Great River School identify as white. And then for the 3 out of 10 students that are not white at Great River School, that does not happen at many public schools in the Twin Cities. And so that anomaly at Great River School is fairly unique. And specifically when we are dealing with being a peace school, meaning we're working toward both social justice and, however, working toward making peace in a time of conflict, that becomes having fewer different experiences of non-white folks becomes an issue for our students and the families at our school. And so working with Equity Alliance Minnesota really gives an opportunity for us to work with a trusted community partner that allows us to hear the voices of, say, students, family members, and staff that come not to the school, because that can cause, frankly, an adjustment of the honesty and or directness of the experience of people who could have an improved experience at school. So you're going to come for a listening session with Equity Alliance Minnesota. And Equity Alliance Minnesota, we're engaging with them. I have worked with the folks who are over there over the past 2.5 years on different specific projects around listening sessions for staff, working toward a policy of more both inclusive and I think assertive ways to address working conditions that could make Great River School a better place to work for our Black, Indigenous, and teachers of color. Specifically, also, though, Equity Alliance Minnesota has facilitated listening sessions for students and families and students of all ages at many other school districts. And so they have a practice at hearing this information and then being able to represent that information both to the school board and the school, working toward a strategic plan to make meaningful improvements in how the experience of education at Great River looks and is as supportive as it can be. I have heard from many families, in particular, the caregivers of students who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color, and also specifically from the parents of those students and from BIPOC families, that having more racial and ethnic diversity at our school would make it seem easier, or would make it better, or would make it more comfortable. Sometimes showing up and having just such a prominent difference between our school and, say, the public school or other school that students have come from has a connotation of discomfort around, especially around the study of race and justice, which is something that we are engaged in our school. And so this survey for parents and community members will be sent directly to families. And what we want to do is hear from you directly. And specifically, we want to hear from you around things that you think are going well, and around things that you think could go better. So Holly, if you could scroll down just a little bit. Thank you for everyone for listening to that probably very long introduction. But if you scroll down, I wanted to give all the background. But if you scroll down, this is true. Your answers are anonymous and will not be linked to any information. The survey does take about 15 minutes to complete. So if you click OK, Holly, I just want to give a few examples of some of the questions. So you'll be asked if you have been invited to or been a part of creating or revisiting the district's vision for equity. And then as you scroll through these next questions, Holly, a lot of them are yes, no, or new to the district questions, and you can press next again. And really, it's asking you as a family member and you as a community member how you've participated, how you've been welcomed to be participating, and how comfortable you are coming forward about your experience around equity at the school. We are going to use this information really to build a foundation for whomever a school leader might be at the school, and for the school board to follow through on the long-term commitment we've been working toward over the last, say, year and a half, especially since our school expansion, to make sure that after 15 years of being a school, there are many practices that are very successful, and there are likely some habits or ingrained parts of our school culture that we need to address and change and improve in order to be the best school we can. And so asking both yes, no questions and strongly agree questions are ways that we want to get feedback from you as a family. So we're sending this out directly tomorrow. It'll have a short little introduction, and then specifically we'll have invitations likely in mid-December for January and February listening sessions facilitated by Equity Alliance Minnesota. And so those will be listening sessions both for the general community, and then we'll have affinity-specific listening sessions for BIPOC families and groups. So thank you, Holly, for previewing that survey. And if you can stop screen sharing now, I will just make sure, let's see, I will make sure I find that head of school survey. One moment, please, everyone. Thank you for your patience. The internet that I'm on is only doing one thing at a time. Any other questions in the Q&A, Holly?
No,
Okay.
not yet. I would encourage people to put questions.
Here we go.
Or in
Yep.
the,
I am finding this survey. I do believe it was linked in last week's, oh, here we go. I do believe it was linked in last week's family newsletter, and I will have it in just one moment. Any questions that you see that have come through the email pipe recently that we should answer, Holly?
oh, let's see. There was a little confusion about why we had a couple of asynchronous days and which
Oh, yeah.
levels were.
Yeah. And what the heck is going on?
Right.
Right. So that's a great question. And specifically, if any of you have been paying deep attention to the governor's website over the past week and a half, there was a release, let's see, I think just about 10 days ago now, where the governor of Minnesota and the Department of Education really mandated districts to make sure teachers were getting the time needed to review their practices, adjust them, and plan going forward. Specifically, the governor clarified and the Department of Education clarified that every school in the state has up to 5 planning days to use during the school year if the models of education are changing or adjusting. And so specifically in the junior high, we have adjusted to, I think, more thoroughly address the need for direct instruction, some math progress in instruction, especially for the last year's 6th and 7th graders for whom the springtime was interrupted by the pandemic. And so teachers really used the planning days these past 2 days to adjust how that quarter will look now through winter break. And then in the elementary, we have many fewer students on site than we did, say, 4 weeks ago. And so what that means is our staffing model has condensed, so there are fewer staff on site, but more staff that have to adjust and change their roles to engage more directly with students, especially our younger students and youngest students with some more direct instruction and contact time. So you'll see the results of that, maybe subtly and maybe not so subtly in your students' time. But we took 2 of those planning days, and it's possible that we'd use more in the future, but we want to give you much more notice going forward than we were able to this last round. In any case, we did plan some asynchronous days through the year to allow teachers times to pause, reflect, and plan. And so those are on the school calendar on our website, and you can find them there too. I'm going to check to all panelists here. There we go. The survey for the head of school transition survey. There we go. And I can email those directly out too. As you fill that out, though, those of you who are filling out that survey with the head of school search, if you are interested or have expertise to offer, please also put that in that survey. Let's see. So next week will be a short week in terms of school days, just 2 days of school next week. And then as planned, even if we're not a pandemic, we'll have next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, no school meetings, no work. And then the following weeks, I think there are just 3 weeks of school in December. And even in December, we have 2 pre-planned days for a staff retreat, which will be done mostly virtually, but still staff will be working on the things we would have worked on anyway. And so let's see, just 4 weeks really till a winter break. And I anticipate that what we really got to do all together as adults is buckle down and be ready, frankly, to engage responsibly, able to respond to a continued challenge of not being in person as much. So getting outside a lot, getting some fresh air, doing a lot of chores, having responsibilities at home. And if something's not working for you at home in regards to school, just please letting your teachers know and or letting us know generally, and we want to help. Okay, anything else you want to say, Holly?
I want to say thank you very much for showing up tonight. It seems
everybody who did.
Yes, it seems like you can always learn something new, even though we have a lot of similarities. It's always changing.
Right.
I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time too, Holly. Thank you for being here. And if I'm correct, you are the host and you'll have to end this meeting.
Oh gosh. Is that why you made me host?
So, no. Because you're highly qualified and so is your internet connection.
It's a promotion.
Okay. Thank you everybody for coming.
Bye,
have a good week. Bye now.
Bye, see you next week.